Welcome, beautiful creatures, to the Lightness of Being Podcast, where we celebrate the dance of life and explore ways to find joy, laughter, and lightness, even when faced with challenges. Join me, your host, Monika Stefanik, as we step into the light and discover a realm of potential and possibilities for greater ease in our lives. Let's laugh, learn, and grow together. Greetings, beautiful beings of light, and welcome to this episode of the podcast. So grateful to be here with you all. You've got me, myself, and I again. It's been a really big week. I have completed my training in a new healing technique that is called Spinal Flow. And we spent a week in Barcelona doing just 9 to 5 every day, deep and immersive training. And those spaces are just phenomenal, and deeply, deeply moving. And I just feel so honored to be a part of something that is just starting to get its roots in the ground. And just the ways in which it came to me and choosing it and having the ability to go for it has been a whole thing. I'm just I feel really, really good. I mean, I have also spent, of course, we're in a training program, right? And we were also receiving healing because you're practicing, and it's a little different, right? As if you were to just go and get regular healing sessions, but we did have a multitude of of healing sessions, and wow, there's a lot to say on that. Um, I first just want to acknowledge, if you are watching the video, that I'm in an incredibly beautiful apartment that I chose. I knew it was gonna be nice. I just didn't really know, how it's perfect. For little me, it's absolutely perfect. To my right, it's your left, there is a view out the, balcony door to the sea, and right below me is a beautiful square that is full of life here in, Tarragona. And, Tarragona? I really hope I'm saying that right. I keep flipping back and forth between the 2. Um, I'm not gonna pretend like I know Spanish, but I'm gonna do my best. Is my humanness coming out of it for you? Yeah, it's, the view, the room, the space is incredible. I just feeling really grateful for yeah, it's nicer than my wildest dreams. I have 2 balconies, 3 different balcony door access points. There's this incredible church off to my left that's pink, and I can see the steeples, and I think that's where the bells, are ringing coming from. I think they ring every half hour, every hour. And then there's also this ancient castle-looking thing out my window, and another church, and then, you've got the sea and, an old, Roman, amphitheater that's been very degraded, but that's also just out there as well. So just honoring this land and this place, and, the ancient culture that existed here. Who even knows how many years ago? Probably should have done that research before I got on here, but I can maybe put that in the show notes for y'all. It's beautiful, and I'm just soaking it all in. I'm here for a few days, and the intent was to take time after the immersion to integrate and really make a foundational plan for my practice for when I get home to share this amazing technique with my clients and with the community in so many different ways. So I have a lot of ideas that are swirling in my world and starting to put that into living form here soon. So yeah, as we just to lead into this technique a bit, which is mostly what this episode will probably be about, since that's what's most alive in my world. That's where I've been swirling in again, like deeply for the last few days. And that is the whole reason why I'm in Spain, was to come to this immersive training. And we have some words that are not my words. They are the founder, Dr. Carly Axford, who is Australian. She's the founder of this technique. She is an absolutely incredible, beautiful woman. And she used to be a chiropractor, or probably still is. Spent a lot of time in the world renowned Texas Back Institute, observed the importance of emotions and energy for healing during her time in India, and completed her skills with trainings in network spinal analysis, biogeometric integration, applied kinesiology, neuroemotional technique, sacro-occipital technique, and many more modalities. And so I remember when I had first seen the webinar that she had put out about this, which I mean, as a healer, it was targeted to me somehow. I don't know. It was probably like on Facebook or something or Instagram. And I just got so excited because I was like, this woman is speaking my language as a practitioner who loves, also deeply loves the physical part of our body, like the more sciency aspect of us, right? Like my background is in kinesiology, so I have been trained in very scientific ways of being with the body. And also, as I've grown in my life experience and the things that I've chosen and the way that I also know how to be with the body is this other more like energetic capacity, right? And so I've found that in my practice, which is massage therapy, very physical, correct? And access consciousness energy work, which is the other modality that I'm practiced in, there are kind of two ends of the spectrum. And within those two spaces, I've been navigating over the last year or so of finding a way to merge the two and bring the two into a more like interconnected space because yes, we have physical pain and discomfort and disease that is occurring within our physical body. That's so real. And I experience it, we all experience it. And it's also beautiful because pain is a signal from our body to tell us that there's something to pay attention to. And so these signals are very, very important. And we're so much more than physical beings. And to I've come to like very deeply understand that, right? And I feel like we all are on our own journey of there's like finding a way to really embody what that is and what that feels like, but we're so much more than just this physical body. Like I mean, everything's energy. We're energy. It's everything is swirling around us all the time. Like, and this is, this is like quantum physics and all this stuff. It's quantum mechanics. Like everything is interconnected and interrelated. And the way that our cells communicate, it's we connect and communicate with every living thing around us. Everything is living. And so to find a way, coming back to this, of like as a practitioner, as a healer, and just wanting to, not even wanting to, but like deeply, deeply desiring to truly help people in a longer lasting way than just what regular massage has to offer. I'm like, there is something so much deeper here that I desire to bring through. And so I've been in this avenue of finding a way to connect the physical and the energy. And I'll be honest, it's felt a little messy for me in my world. And yet I also have this deep intuitive knowing. And so just a few months ago, I was like, okay, we're gonna do this. This is what it looks like when you come in and see me. We're just gonna do the things and see what happens and see what flows and see how your body is changing over time. And it's definitely more on the path of alignment of where I've been looking to go. And yet when Spinal Flow came in, I was like, this, this is the bridge of that connection point of body, physical experience, and energetic experience, and this beautiful interwoven um, space that we are as beings on this planet, and finding ways to connect with ourselves deeper and authentically, and in a space that's like you really, really feel connected to your body and are listening and understanding the signals that it's sending you, and also knowing that your body is so incredibly beautiful and intelligent, and it has this immaculate wisdom to heal, to communicate to you, number one, and to heal. And that only happens when we choose to connect with it. And we are so often deeply disconnected from our physical realm for a lot, or like maybe hyper connected in a way where it's like we're feeling everything all the time, but leaning more into that like victim state of like, oh, this hurts, oh, that, oh, poor me, or all of that. But then there's also this realm of being very disconnected to the point where, I'll see people walking down the street and they're completely hunched over and or like, you know, look like they're in a lot of physical pain, and yet they, say that they don't experience any pain. So there's a spectrum of this, right? And, and it's so beautiful that we get to find ways to slow down and actually be with our body. So this brings me to this technique, and also like how I've been trying to communicate to my clients in the collective of like, hey, your body like knows. Your body knows exactly what it needs to do to heal. And there's ways that we can touch in with that innate intelligence and let your body start to heal from a space of ease. And this technique does that in a way that's not just purely energetic and that's not just purely physical. It brings it all to center, like what we do and how we touch the spine and communicate with the body is physical. That connection is touching in with the dura matter of your body, which surrounds our brain and our spinal cord and is deeply connected to our nervous system. So by touching these softer points in your dura mater along your sacrum and on your cranium, we start to connect in with the nervous system, not in the places where there's pain and dysfunction, but actually coming to the places of softness and allowing those spaces that are already feeling good to move that healing energy up and through the spaces that are feeling constricted, that are experiencing what we call blockages in the spine. And from that space, that's actually where this like deep healing occurs. And the body is so smart and intelligent that it just does this. So Dr. Carly has found a way to, again, like tap into this innate intelligence life force physically by connecting with the dura mater and what we call access points along the sacrum and the cranium. And it moves up through, she's segmented the spine into 7 gateways to facilitate healing through the body, right? Because every single part of our spine has nerves that innervate out into every organ, tissue, cell of our body. So when we are experiencing a blockage in a certain part of our spine, that's compressing in on the nerve, which is then innervating these parts of our body that we're feeling pain, dysfunction, disease, all of the symptoms that we experience in our day to day life. Yes. So, it's incredible technique is yeah, it works physically with the spine. So you'll experience me coming in and I'm assessing and I'm touching your spine and I'm feeling your spinous processes and your and the chemical, or not just the chemical, but there's tone in your tissues that exists right along your spine that I can now feel if the stress and the tension that you're experiencing in certain areas is physical, chemical, or emotional. And there's layers to this. It's not just like one exists in one area. And if we release that, then it's like, oh, okay, we're great, awesome, because like life is constantly happening, right? So I can now touch your spine and assess this and find where there's these spaces of blockage. And instead of doing what we do with, massage, which is symptom addressing, and focusing on the spaces where there's already pain and tension and tightness, what we've discovered is that by hyper focusing in on the symptom spaces that are already inflamed, they're already experiencing pain, they're already upset, bringing more attention there doesn't necessarily, I don't want to speak plainly, but like doesn't necessarily bring in the deeper healing that we're looking for. And that's my mission. And part of my purpose is to be like, hey, like, I really desire you all to feel better. And as a practitioner, I would not be doing my due diligence and doing your bodies like the justice that they require if I'm not showing up for you to help you heal in the best way that I can. So this technique is phenomenal. And this is one of the best ways that I now know how to address the physical dis-ease and pain that we experience in our bodies. So so instead of, like I was saying, instead of addressing the spaces that our symptoms are coming from and bringing attention there, we're going to be like, hey, I know that that's there. Okay, I see you. Yep, 100%. I feel that. I know where that's coming from within your spine. So I'm going to come down and touch these points somewhere along your sacrum or up on your cranium. And these are soft points where we're touching in with the dura mater that are then going to communicate through your cerebral spinal fluid to your nervous system, up to your brain to tell your brain and be like, hey, bring healing here. We're going to touch in with the spaces that already feel good and let that softness and ease flow through your spine with ease and bring that healing in from a core standpoint. We're not addressing symptoms anymore. The symptoms are a part of it, but we're not addressing those. We're taking that information and being like, okay, you're experiencing pain in your legs and sciatica. Okay, I know that's coming from your sacrum. I know there's a blockage in your sacrum. Yeah. And that part of your spine is experiencing tension. So we're going to come and we're going to touch on those soft access points. And those symptoms are just telling us that that is where that is the trunk of the tree, as um, Carly states this really beautiful in one of the modules. Is I was reading and learning, it's as if, like, imagine, an apple tree. Take an apple tree, and when you're looking at it and you're like seeing, oh, there's all these like beautiful apples, like, oh my gosh, they're so healthy, that's amazing, I'm gonna take one off, I'm gonna eat it. But then you also see some that are a little bit diseased, and you're like, huh, curious. Like, if you want to get to the core understanding of like what, and you start to see more, and you want to start to get to the core understanding of like, why are all of these apples starting to be diseased? Like, that's really curious. You're not going to go in and pick the diseased apples off the tree and hope for the best, right? And like throw them on the ground and just be like, okay, we'll just like take off the things that are diseased, and then it's going to look like a healthy tree. But even after you're taking those off, there's going to be more apples that show up as diseased. So it's like, okay, there's something more foundational that's going on here. So are you going to come to the trunk? Are you going to come to the soil? Are you gonna address the water, the nutrients, the nurturing that's happening down on this foundational level to address the symptoms on the outer branches of the tree? And so that's what this is we're coming in. We're coming here, we're coming to center, and we're addressing the blockages in the spine, but from a very easeful, attuned way, like this. And so this is when the energy piece kind of comes in, right? Because it's like this energy is so deeply sweet and loving and soft, and it is the innate healing wisdom of your body, and to be in witness to it is absolutely incredible. I had so many moments in the room over the last week when I was sitting back and observing, because we would be in groups of 3, so there was a person on the table, there was a practitioner, and then there was an observer, and so many moments throughout the week when I was sitting back and observing and holding the space for my practitioner, my client, and also being so very attuned to the room, and just even now I'm feeling these, like, shivers come up through my spine as I, like, tap into that space, because tapping into all of the healing that was happening, and it would just bring me to tears. Like, I would be observing and I would just be crying, or there were moments where I did just get down on my knees because I was just in absolute awe of what was happening. And it's, I mean, besides the music that's playing, is completely silent, and you're just watching these bodies as they allow this energy to shift through their spine in multiple different ways. Like, the way that this energy and healing moves through can look so different from person to person. And uh, and even like within your own body, and like, I know for me, which I'll speak to my experience in just a minute, um i I observed it move through in a few different ways, and so it's like to not be attached to what it's supposed to look like, right? Like, there's so many different types of healing things out there nowadays. And I feel like, at least what I've noticed and the conversations that I've had, it's we what I've noticed is that there's kind of this, mm, it's like we're leaning more towards, oh, healing has to look like this really intense shaking, or these really big releases, or like, and it totally can. I'm not negating that healing isn't happening in those spaces. I'm just saying that, yes, and this technique has been so profound for me, because there's there's 3 different ways that this flow, this spinal flow, moves through the body. And it can either look like movement, which you'll physically see people moving on the table in different ways. And the other one is breath. So it's still movement. It's just like not as movie. It's more breathing as you're watching and observing the the energy, the breath move through the spine and start to release the blockages. And then the other one is perception. And this one is beautiful. They're all beautiful. This one is so beautiful because you observe this person who's just so deeply connected in that there's hardly any movement in their body. But as a practitioner, when you're there and you're tapped in and you're like on these access points and you're watching and there is movement, like there's like I can see in the spine, I'm actively the whole entire time that I'm with my clients, I'm watching the spine and noticing where there's change that's occurring along these different areas that were maybe moving as a unit and now they're moving more segmented, which is amazing. And like that's what this whole thing is about is change. It's not necessarily about I'll get to there later. Anyway, perception is the person's not moving. They're not. But they're so deeply, deeply tuned in. And we did this beautiful practice one of the days in one of the healing sessions where we were guided through because I noticed that when I was first on the table, I was more of you're not really like, I don't want to label anyone as like a mover or a breather or a perception person. It's because it can totally change and it can shift in a session as well. So it's not the best idea to just like label you like, oh, if I moved on the table in that session, then that means I'm a mover. And that means that every single time I come in for a spinal flow session that I have to move and that means that healing's happening. It's not the case. It's not what we're doing. Um, your body will shift and it will shift and change, and to just trust, like deeply trust and know when you're tuning in that it's going to do what it needs to do and whatever way that looks is beautiful and that change is happening. And if change is not happening, I will talk to you about that and we'll figure something out because what we're looking for through our sessions is that there is change that's occurring inside your body. So, and that can look a multitude of different ways. So we did this really beautiful practice where we were on the table first and they guided us. They were like, just tap into your body, your intuition, like whatever way your body wants to move the flow through right now, move the flow through. I, and this is why I say it's different every time. I progressed to be more of a mover as things started to unlock in certain parts of my spine. When I had first gotten on the table on like the first day or two, I was not moving. I mean, they could see the flow, right? But of course, like things were shifting and changing. But I was more of the breathing type, and I was even getting in my head. And like this is why I speak to this is because I had a story of movement means more healing, and we addressed that this week because that's not movement does not equal more healing. Just because it's more visual and visceral does not mean that more healing is occurring because you're moving on the table. Like there's profound, profound, deep healing that is occurring on the table when people are deep in the perceptive state. So we did this beautiful practice. So I'm moving. And then they guided us into, they're like, okay, now let's experience. They wanted everyone to try to experience every single one. So just so you as an individual know what it's like for your clients on the table. And so we did movement first, and I was like, okay, I'm familiar with that one. And then we moved into breathing, which is funny that that one actually felt more challenging for me to lean into when I was reflecting on it. I was like, oh, that's really really interesting that is like that for me. Um, and then we moved into perception. And when I just stopped moving and put my entire attention and focus, like I deepened it even more than where it was and just focused in on my spine. I felt like I traveled to a different world. It was wild. It's a wild experience. So that all to say that yes, it looks very different and there isn't a right or wrong way to receive for the body to be. It's again coming back to that space of like deeply trusting your body's innate wisdom and however the healing in that moment on that day in that session looks like. Because the next time you come in, it could look completely different. And that's okay. And trusting that, trusting the body, that it knows exactly what to do. I'm so grateful that I get to talk about this on here. Oh my gosh. Um, yeah, so I'd love to read a little bit from one of our modules. And so these are Dr. Carly's words about spinal flow. Okay. The essential understandings of the body. To listen to the human body, it's vital to know how it works at a functional level, but also at a philosophical level. Only then can the body reveal its beauty and intelligence. The science of the human body has always enthralled me. The anatomy and biology of the skeletal system, the soft tissues, and our amazing nervous system and spinal cord are incredible. When we acknowledge that thoughts in our brain are felt throughout the body, particularly things like gut feelings, our heart beating in our mouths, or having a lump in our throats, then it's philosophically holds true that how we feel connects to how our core functions, to how our body functions. Excuse me. Every part of us connects. Our inside is connected to our outside. We are connected to our own self, our family, our community, our environment, to the planet, and so on. There is no separation. When we believe our bodies and feelings are somehow separate or disconnected, that's when spinal blockages and their close comparison that I call pain, disease, and illness begin to form. When our body doesn't have the tools to release the emotional, physical, or chemical stress the body experiences, then it's my experience that spinal blockages happen. These blockages cause suffering and keep the nervous system in fight flight mode, inhibiting the body's natural ability to learn, heal, digest, and grow. When we recognize that as living beings, we are going to experience pain, stress, disease, illness, and emotion, we can heal from it. Just as our breath moves in and out of our lungs, our thoughts and feelings can move in and out of our bodies, and we can breathe in the healing and breathe out the spinal blockages that enter the 7 gateways of the spine. Whether you call it innate intelligence, chi, prana, or life force, it is this intelligence that allows the body to heal a cut finger or raise the temperature to promote healing when we are sick. When our spine is free from blockages, this force flows consistently and freely through each of the 7 gateways, from the base gateway in our coccyx to the awakened gateway in the head. Posture is often our body's defense system. We wear our stress response in our bodies as what I call defense postures. The structural disorientation, tension, patterns, and blockages of the spine are a testimony to and physical anchor for events that overwhelm our body minds. These defense postures, lordosis, kyphosis, scoliosis, are the severe versions, but chin forward, uneven ear height, or leg length are more common and are the body's functional way to store stress until we are ready to deal with it. If we remain consistently stressed in fight-flight mode, then the body starts sending out common physical and emotional symptoms to each of the 7 gateways. Spinal flow technique is designed to help the brain reconnect with the body and its experiences through the 7 gateways of the spine and the 33 access points. This touch-led healing sessions of spinal flow technique work with an individual's state of consciousness and functional anatomy to support trust for the body-mind, to reconnect and integrate the emotional, physical, and chemical stress. The 7 gateways of the spine give us a framework to understand the body-mind and enable transformation from disconnection and stress into a state of peace and well-being. So beautiful. Her words are, I just love how articulate she is about this. I'd like to also read the 10 principles that she has written out for this technique. Number 1, there is a natural healing intelligence that exists within and flows through the nervous system through the 7 gateways of the spine as spinal flow. Number 2, optimal well-being happens when the spinal flow runs the entire length of the spine, from the base gateway at the coccyx to the awakened gateway at the cranium. Number 3, spinal flow delivers life force to and communicates with every cell of our body through all 7 gateways of the spine. Number 4, pain, dis-ease, and illness are indications of spinal blockages, which stem from 3 types of stress: physical, chemical, and emotional stress. Number 5, the 33 access points on the sacrum and cranium enable healing to happen by sending a message along the spinal cord to the brain. Number 6, every spinal blockage has a cause, and every gateway tells a story. Number 7, the only person capable of releasing a spinal blockage is the very person it exists with. Number 8, trauma, particularly emotional trauma experienced in childhood, is the hardest stress to resolve and can benefit from the help of a trained spinal flow technique practitioner to release. Number 9, movement towards healing is the body's natural rhythm and intelligence. Number 10, healing intelligence is felt by breath, movement, or perception, and practitioners who certify in spinal flow technique can facilitate healing to happen. So, this work is so special to me. Truly, I did not know how it was going to affect me. I mean, as all the things that have found me and that I've chosen when it comes to being a healer and a practitioner, and not just like helping facilitate healing for others, but really healing myself, because and I'm not perfect, right? Like I'm still on this journey, like constantly every single day. And the way that I'm able to show up to these spaces and be the practitioner that I am is because of the way that I continuously work to show up for myself and my body and facilitate this deeper connection. And everything that I've chosen up until this point has been such a beautiful conduit to get me there. And one of the biggest things that I shouldn't even be surprised by at this point, but getting out of this particular course, but it's also related to many of the other trainings that I've gone through, is just the level of receiving. Like, y'all, I know so, so deeply and personally and viscerally how challenging navigating the realm of receiving can be. And it's definitely like an ebb and a flow. Like, I feel like I have moments where I'm like, yeah, I'm receiving, like, I got this. And then I'm humbled by something that kind of puts me in my place in that way, which I had some sessions that did this past week. And I was like, oh, whoa, okay. Uh, yeah. And so that was like my big lesson. I mean, there's a lot that I learned, of course. But the big lesson is that as, you know, as a client, like she was saying in here, it's like the only one who can release those blockages truly is you, me, the person on the table. I can be a beautiful conduit and I can be the one that's there to show you your shit and hold a container for it. But it's your job to show up and be like, I'm ready to shift this. Like, truly, I do desire to feel better and want to release the stored stress that's manifesting inside my beautiful body, and I deserve that. I deserve to feel good in my body. I deserve to feel healthy and wealthy and vibrant. And when we feel that way, that affects, again, this connection that we have with everything around us. It affects our families, our relationships, our money, our businesses. And so healing is not selfish. It's really not, because it allows us to show up to our life in a way that gets to affect the greater whole if we're really, really showing up for it, which is why receiving is such a deep part of that. And like, access consciousness was really like the first realm of work that started to open me up to receiving. And even then, that took me years. I was like, yeah, receiving intellectually, I get the concept. I'm receiving. Embodying that, totally different. And again, it's been a journey and kind of like a delayering. And there was a moment when I was on the table this week that I was laying down, and yeah, intellectually I was like, she's like, set an intention, and for the session. And I did that. I was like, okay. And I was like, yeah, I'm here, I'm receiving, like I'm tuned in. But then in that moment, as the practitioner was just assessing my spine, she wasn't even on access points yet, but she was assessing my spine. I had this moment of clarity and awareness where I was like, Monica, you're intellectualizing receiving right now. Like, yeah, you set an intention. That's great. That's beautiful. You're like, you are tapped and tuned in a certain way, at a certain level. How can I surrender more? How can I let go more into this space and truly just let my body take the lead? And the moment, the moment that I did that, the practitioner that was working on me gets on an access point. And so when I say I was originally not really moving on the table, the moment that I dropped in that way and truly let go and let my body take the lead. And then this practitioner gets on an access point, I start to move. And again, we're coming back to movement does not mean more healing. It's just that is what my body needed to do in that moment. And I felt the movement throughout my whole spine, because there was a part of my spine. I mean, of course, this is again blockages, right? There were, I mean, two parts, but a very significant piece of my spine is holding for a very good reason. Um, for protection, right? Like, that's why our body does these things, is to protect us. And so it's very, very smart and it's very wise. And it's also great to be like, wow, body, Like, "Oh my god, thank you so much for doing that. Like, I see why you're doing that. I know why you're doing that. It's to protect me. That's why we get these responses. That's why we come in. It's because your body's like, not safe, not safe. I'm going to protect your brain and your spinal cord. So I'm going to come in and hold. I'm going to hold right here, your center, your core. I got you." And it's like, awesome. Thank you. Thank you, body. That's amazing. The problems happen when we stay like that, when we stay in that stress response, or when we don't have avenues to, even if we are releasing and relaxing out of that response, we don't have avenues to release the stress that then got stored in our spine from that response. Enter spinal flow. So, yeah, I was on the table receiving and feeling my whole spine start to move, and this part of my body that had not moved before. And I was just filled with emotion, of course, and also just awe and reverence to the body and to the wisdom and the intelligence, and was just blown away. And yeah, I mean, I feel like all of the sessions that I had were quite profound, but that was a really, really beautiful one because again, I got humbled by the whole receiving thing, and from then on, the rest of the week was just much easier to relax into, which was so beautiful. And there's so many stories that we heard from other yeah, students in the room throughout the week, and some people had a really tough week, as these spaces do bring up a lot. And we had done oh, and it's talking about the emotional mm, tension that we hold over here in our center gateway, which is above our heart. Of course, we, as we're students in training, we did practice the part of the technique where you can help facilitate deep emotional release. And this is not something that's done casually. So when it comes to seeing me in practice, this is not something we're going to do and then you go off into your day. That's not what that looks like. We will do the foundations of spinal flow and touching the access points and doing that. When it comes to the deep emotional release, this is just me assuring my clients out there that we won't come in and do deep emotional release, probably unless it's at some type of retreat. If you've got a really long weekend and I'm kind of setting something up where it's like you have access to me throughout the days following, and as well as possibly some other practitioners just to help um, move through and integrate what came up, because it's not something to be taken lightly. We did practice this, of course, in the course so that we are able to facilitate those spaces. And yeah, it's really big stuff. And the way that they had it, we did have integration space. The way that this whole week was facilitated and scheduled and planned out was absolutely incredible and beautiful. And I felt very supported the whole entire time. And it was also a lot. And we did touch on the emotional release stuff and experience it enough to the point to be like, oh, this is not casual work. It's very big, deep work. And also so vitally important. And so this is something that resonates really deeply with me because I really, really desire to have others experience this, and it needs to happen in the right set and setting. So again, I've got some ideas and things swirling in my brain parts of what that's going to look like moving forward, and maybe in more, probably more in a type of a retreat setting where we have space and time to just be with everything because it's a lot. It's a lot, and I'm not going to downplay it. And it's so beautiful. And I also feel like it's just so important. And if you want to choose it, the option is there. And if not, that's okay too. So, yeah, it was a really beautiful, incredible week. Um, just gonna take a glance over here really quick and see if there's anything else. This is a good, this is a good little piece. So, central nervous system, right? Your nervous system consists of your brain and spinal cord, which controls every function in the human body. Much like a sprouting seed, this is the very first thing that develops when we are conceived. In his work at the Mindsight Institute, Harvard trained psychotherapist, educator, and scientist Dr. Daniel Segal explains that the nervous system begins in the embryo as the ectoderm, which comprises an outer layer of cells that become skin and clusters of cells that fold inward to form the spinal cord. From the spinal cord, nerves extend out to supply every organ, gland, tissue, blood vessel, and cell of the body with the vital life force we need to survive. The brain and spinal cord are covered by a balloon-like layer called the dura mater. It is a thick membrane that serves many functions, including maintaining the cerebrospinal fluid and transmitting energy and information back and forth between the brain and our body. Each of our cells is also covered by a semi-permeable membrane, which allows the cells to communicate, bind, and transport the various nutrients and waste. Where the dura mater is close to the skin of our bodies, around the sacrum and the cranium is where our 33 access points are. Those access points are a vital way to connect our 7 gateways of the spine to send a healing message through the body and enable spinal flow. Our nervous system is also the conduit of consciousness. Without it, we could not feel, respond, react, or express emotion. This is the system that supports life and allows us to interact with the environment, internal and external. When there are blockages in one of your spinal gateways, pain and illness may happen, and what I call life force becomes choked. When there is free-flowing connection up and down the spine, we not only feel more spinal flow, but expand our natural ability to heal. Our spine and posture directly impacts the way we experience the world. To give you a brief example, when you are angry, your spine will project forward in flexion. This posture is only ever meant to be temporary. Holding on to that anger creates stress in the spine, nervous system, and dural tissue. You start to feel stuck. Your flow of life force is interrupted, and your nervous system becomes blocked and unable to deliver the messages it needs to. These blockages and understanding how to release them is why the 7 gateways of the spine are so important. Each gateway helps facilitate the body's functioning and natural healing. When there is full movement and flexibility across all gateways, the nerves can flow properly and supply the organs and cells of the body with the necessary supplies of oxygen, nutrients, and life force. The 7 gateways of the spine provide us with both a tool and a guide for healing. They provide us with the ability to interpret how our body functions. Once we tune in and understand our body, pain and disease become an opportunity rather than an inconvenience. These gateways have taught me that there is nothing to fix or treat, only understand. I fucking love that sentence. The gateways have taught me that there is nothing to fix or treat, only understand. When we know the function of the nervous system and how blockages can interfere with the body's natural ability to heal across the 7 gateways of the spine, we open our minds and bodies to allow healing to happen. Oh, beautiful. So it is, oh, that's so funny. I love angel numbers, you guys. My computer is on Oregon time and it's 5:55 a.m. there. We love the numbers. That feels like a great time to wrap this up. So, thank all for listening. I'm very, very excited to bring this into practice when I get home and help y'all facilitate a deeper connection with your bodies and the world. Thank you.